Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. Today we sit down with another fellow rocker from Rock the Trades. He's as dedicated and transparent as they come and a wealth of knowledge in the HVAC world. You know him as Northwest HVAC on Instagram. Mr. Jamie Christensen joins us today to talk about his journey through the trades. Jamie's love for working with his hands started in high school when he got his first car. He loved changing the oil and understanding the mechanics of just how it worked. So he eventually went to trade school to learn HVAC, a recommendation from the recruiter. After graduating, Jamie immediately found work and began his career in the industry. Unfortunately, he was derailed due to addiction for just a few years, but had the incredible self-awareness to not only pull himself out of it, but come back even more dedicated than ever before. After learning and studying any chance he got, he joined the union and climbed the ranks. Now he has developed an awesome Instagram following, reps Rock the Trades, and is in the process of starting his own business. His definition of success is simple: take care of my family and be happy every day. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and on our website at blueisthenewwhite.com to receive all the latest updates. As always, this show is not monetized and we don't run ads. We rely strictly on word of mouth from our listeners to further the mission. So if you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate it, review it, and share it. The future generations of tradespeople depend on it. They depend on you. So thank you again and enjoy this episode of the Blue is the New White podcast with Jamie Christensen. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. We've got a special guest today, Mr. Jamie Christensen. Did I say that right? Christensen?
Yep.
All right, Jamie Christensen, welcome to the show, man. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking me.
Oh man, absolutely. I can't wait to kind of hear about your story. And you know, I told you before we started the recording here that I've been following you for some time on Instagram. And for those who don't know, it's at Northwest_HVAC, HVAC, is where you can find Jamie, and I'm sure he'll tell you that at the end of the show too. But I have been following you for a while. Seems like you're a pretty big advocate for the trades, for what you do. Got a lot of pride in it, I can tell, which is great. So once again, thanks for coming on the show. And for those who don't know who you are, who don't follow you, why don't you go ahead and kind of just give us your background, tell us who you are, where you came from, and how you got to where you are today.
My name is Jamie Christensen. 38 years old. I'm a commercial journeyman service technician out of local 66 up in the Northwest. You know, my journey, you know, kind of begins way back when I was in high school, you know, like when I was in high school, obviously a lot of people know that the trades and stuff wasn't really like pushed on us back then, you know what I mean? And probably really still to this day. You know, and as a young adolescent, I was always, you know, interested when I got my first car, you know, changing the oil and you know, doing little sound systems and, you know, wiring stuff and tinkering around. And
well, what was your first car, dude?
It was a 1985 Buick Regal.
Right on, man. Right on. I had a 1992 Eagle Talon that I let my girlfriend drive, and she ran it into a concrete retainment wall. That was the last time I ever did that. But then I upgraded. I upgraded to a 1987 Mazda B2000 pickup trucks with plastic spinners from Walmart. It was awesome.
Yeah, this Regal, man, was really a nice car. I really loved it. We called it the boat, you know, and because it just fit all of us, and we just cruised around, and it looked like a hot rod, you know, and we put a new transmission in it. My buddy that is like a huge gearhead, and you know, we were gonna put a small block 350 motor in there, and then
that's what my Corvette has, bro.
And my dad had sold it when I was actually going to school in the trades, when I was going to trade school, I came back and I was like, yo, Dad, where's my car? And he's like, oh, I sold it. I'm like, what? Yeah, he sold it. He sold it to his friend. I go, how much did you sell it for? He sold it for like $300 cash and an ounce of weed. And I'm like, and then the guy cracked the engine block like a month later. And I'm like, dude, like that was, I had all these plans for that car getting out of trade school, man. So anyway.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope your dad shared.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, I didn't mean to derail us there. So back on track. So you got this car. You started tinkering around with it. You know, that's kind of when you started getting your hands dirty and working with your hands. Is that right?
Yeah. Just like working on cars and stuff, changing oils and you know, and I took a couple classes in high school. Like, I think the only classes offered for like anything blue collar trades was wood shop and then small gas engines. So I took both of those classes. So, you know, did a little tinkering with that kind of stuff. But you know, that's where I always felt like I was in the right place in a class like wood shop or small gas engines. I never felt like I was in the right place when I'm like sitting in math or history or English or something like that. You know what I mean? So like I knew early on in my high school days that like I was not gonna go to a 4-year college. I just didn't know what other options there were.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it wasn't until I think it was my junior year or something, senior year, and I took an AutoCAD drafting class, and you know, we started designing stuff, doing blueprints, and like I was really good at it. And I found out about Universal Technical Institute through that class because they offered, you know, because I was like, you know, starting to get to my end of my high school career and like trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I was good at AutoCAD drafting, but like I never really thought of it much more than that. You know what I mean? I'm young. So I get in contact with Universal Technical Institute, get a recruiter to come up. Sit down with him and my parents, and we're talking, and, you know, we're talking about AutoCAD, blah, 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 blah. And I think he picked up on something or just my vibe, my energy, but he goes, Jamie, can you really see yourself sitting down on a computer for 8 hours a day? And, you know, I'm young, so I'm not thinking of the future like that. You know what I mean? And I said, you know, no, that actually sounds horrible, you know, to like sit on a computer all day. And he goes, well, what do you think about air conditioning? And a light bulb went off, and I'm like, I've always been super interested in air conditioning. I was always weirdly curious about like how our refrigerator worked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like as a young kid, I'm like, how does this work? You know? And so when he said that, when he asked me about air conditioning, the light bulb went off. And I'm like, well, actually, man, like I've always been really curious about how it worked. And he goes, well, what do you think about going to Universal Technical Institute for HVAC? And then that's where it started. So he started talking about that, and I ended up signing up to go to the school. All
right, so
for the HVAC.
Couple questions there. I got a couple questions. So your parents, what did they think about you going to UTI instead of like a traditional college?
I honestly don't even remember what their reaction was, but like if it's anything like my entire life, they probably had their reservations on all my decisions I've made, but like they've watched me grow up and become an adult, and, you know, just like me going all these different decisions, you know, they're always, well, you know, they're parents, so they weigh their pros and cons, and they're like this and that. But now the difference now is they trust my decisions I make because they've seen the decisions I've made, and even though they may or may not have agreed with it, they've seen the outcome of those decisions. So at that time, my dad was a dental hygienist. My mom was, you know, like a drafting type for the city, doing city plans and things like that. And her job and me doing AutoCAD, it didn't have any direct correlation. It just, you know, maybe subliminally or whatever that word is, subconsciously.
Yeah.
But like when I decided that, I honestly, I can't remember their reaction, but you know, they went with it and we went ahead with it. And so, you know, when I was still in my senior year, I think I committed to going down there probably somewhere halfway through my senior year. So, you know, I was apart from a lot of people that I hung out with, because a lot of people that I hung out with, they still didn't even know what they were doing out of high school. You know what I mean? And I had that. Like, I knew where I was going as soon as I graduated. Like, I had a buddy that graduated a year before me, the guy that I was talking about, that we put the transmission in my car and we were going to put this engine in my car. That same guy, Willie, he is a huge gearhead, and he already went down to that school for hot rod NASCAR engine stuff. You know what I mean? So he was already living in Phoenix. And so, you know, I kind of already set the ball rolling about me going down there. And so I had it set up to go move in with him and all that stuff. So when I graduated high school, I mean, I think I was out of high school for maybe 3 weeks. And then I got on a plane and went down to Phoenix to start trade school. And, you know, and then I remember it was about beginning of August or something, when I got off the plane, and like coming from the Northwest, I mean, it was hot down there, and it was like a slap in the face with the heat. And I'm like, you know, and I'm not like a skinny guy. So like, I'm like, what the fuck did I just do? You know what I mean? Cause it's hot. You live in Arizona, you get it.
Oh dude,
So
I know.
It was a shock, you know? And then so like I move in with my buddy, a couple buddies from high school. They're a year older than me. One guy's going to this school for something else. And then Willie, he's going to the same school I'm going to for his, you know, hot rod car stuff. He's already got a job at a oil, it was called BJ's Auto Spa. It was off of Bell Road. I don't know if you probably know of it or heard of it since you're down there, or if it still exists.
I'm not sure if it still exists or not. I do know where Bell Road is.
Yeah, so it was called BJ's Auto Spa. And it was kind of like a fancier, you know, oil lube shop. You get your car washed, detailed, all that stuff. So he was already working there, so I had a job lined up. And so I went down there, and it was just like hit the ground running. It was like get up, go to work, change oil, and do basic maintenance stuff on cars, and then get home, shove some food down your face, put on your UTI t-shirt, and then head to school. And, you know, and I just remember as soon as I started going to, you know, school down there, like I felt like I was supposed to be there, because it was, you know, it was hands-on learning, and, you know, I'm starting this new career, and it was scary, but like I felt like I was in the right spot. I never felt like that in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going all these literature and math and all those classes. So
yeah, a little different than math class. You know, I was the same way. You know how many times I got yelled at for sleeping in class? Oh
yeah.
You know, and my whole thing was like, you know, when I was in high school, I was smart enough to pass. You know, I just didn't care enough. Like I could look at my teachers and be like, hey, just out of curiosity, when am I going to use this in real life? Like, I can read, I can write, I can do math. Listen, you know, between you, me, and my entire audience, Jamie, I run a multi-million-dollar business, and rarely do I use anything other than addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, I was the same as you, and I always wanted to try to, you know, get out and get my hands dirty a little bit. After my Mazda B2000, I was a Fast and the Furious fan, right? So I got my hands on a I started with the Eagle Talon, right? And then I got my hands on like a 98 Eclipse turbo, with the blow off valve and, chirping every time you switch gears and stuff like that. Got the gauges up on the side. I remember anything that I could do to get out of school and just go get my hands on that car in one way, shape, or form, just putting speakers in it or, putting the fucking grate in the grill there and, whatever. But anyway,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to derail us again there, cars. But.
No, I'm here to learn about you too, so it's all good. But I get it because, like high school is set up for people that are going to go to a 4-year college. Like that's the natural stepping stone. That's all you ever hear any of them talk about. And, me knowing that like I wasn't going to do that. I mean, it just, I wasn't interested in high school, and my dad always told me like, cause I passed, I did okay. I was probably like a 2.5 GPA, something like that,
Yeah,
but that was with minimal effort, you know what I mean? And my dad was always like, Jamie, if you just put more focus and time into your schoolwork, you would be a 4.0 student. I'm like, Dad, it does not interest me, dude. Like, I mean, and then when I went down to UTI, like I started getting, 3.9s, 4.0s, and all these phases that they have down there. You know what I mean? I even got student of the phase, and they give you a little pin, and you're like, yeah, and you just feel
nice, man.
It just felt good.
Jamie got his gold star. That's awesome.
Exactly. It's an adult version of a gold star.
That's awesome. That's cool. All right, so you went to UTI. You had that that job. Didn't have much time. You were a great student. So what happened next? You graduated. What you did, and then you went back to the Northwest.
Yeah. So I actually had a job offer from a friend that I met through my roommates down there. His brother owned an HVAC company down in Phoenix, and he offered me a job at like I wanted to come home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so and UTI finds you work. There's a lot of employers that utilize that bridge to hire out of the trade school. So like I had a job offer up in Burlington. It's like, 30 minutes north of where I grew up. And so I took that job. So when I came home, I got hit with my parents sold my house I grew up in. So in my mind, I was coming home to like my childhood house and all that stuff. Well, they waited to tell me till I was like getting on the plane to come home. Like, oh, we sold your house and we bought a house up in Mount Vernon. And I was like, why didn't you tell me that? Because I think if they would have told me that, I probably would have took the job in Phoenix and stayed down there.
At least until you started fixing ACs on a rooftop in the Phoenix desert heat, right?
Yeah, probably. So, but it all worked out because the job was like 10 minutes from Mount Vernon. So I moved up to Mount Vernon. I started with this residential light commercial company. And, I started my career differently than a lot of new people do. Is like, because the stories I hear from a lot of people is, they get stuck with riding with somebody for a long time, and show the ropes. And that happened to me, but it only lasted like 2 weeks. Like I rode around with a guy for like 2 weeks, and then they threw me in this old piece of shit Ford van, like the old school one, and heater didn't work, radio didn't work, none of that stuff.
Bars over the windows.
Yeah. And so they sent me off on my own, and, we're still using Thomas guides. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't smartphones and GPSs and, all that stuff. It was, Thomas guides and I don't know if you ever saw those Nextel radios, those two-way phones, those yellow and black ones. So we had those. Yeah. So you could make cell phone calls, but you can, two-way radio to other people on your network. So we had that as communication, and I just got sent to the wolves, you know what I mean? And I just started doing maintenances and did some service calls. And like, I remember one of the times I was riding with this guy, and we like did this service call, and he put a jumper on the circuit board of this furnace, like R and W, and the thing just came to life. And I'm like, I was so amazed by that. I was like, what, dude? Like, how did you do that? It was like magic, you know what I mean? But so I worked up there. I think I worked with them for almost 2 years. And then, I was like 20, 21 years old by that time. And I wanted to move back down kind of to where, like, closer to my friends and where I grew up. And so I took a job out of Kirkland, Washington, and started working for another company. Did the same thing, worked on the same type of stuff.
Let me ask you a question. Real quick. So you've kind of gone from job to job. Have you ever had trouble finding work as an HVAC technician? Have you ever had trouble landing a job, or has one always kind of been either waiting for you, or you just knew that you could land a job?
Both. I've never had a problem finding a job. The only time I haven't worked is when I chose not to work.
Okay. Yeah. See, and that's one of the things I talk about too, right? Because a big thing I hear from like counselors and educators and even parents is, you got to go to college because of the job security. You need job security. Like, all right, you want to talk about job security? Let's talk about the trades real quick. So I was just curious, because it's, it's one of those things where it's like, tradespeople, they don't have problems finding work most of the time.
No, not at all. To act like I didn't think of it as the bigger picture, like, job security. I mean, I guess in a way, job security, yeah, because the way I thought of it was everywhere you go has HVAC in the world, has some kind of HVAC. And then as I grew in the trade, then you realize how much it is needed. And I mean, there's so many different aspects of HVAC, because you can do heating, ventilation, air conditioning, heat pumps, exhaust, I mean, it's
ductwork,
dehumidification, it's just like, it's endless, really. And, so I always had a job lined up, and this is because I started my career non-union. So I was still in the same boat of having to find my own work and, do interviews and things like that. So, I always had jobs lined up. But in the time when I was around 21, 22 years old is, this is a big part of my history, is when I came back from Phoenix, like, a lot of my friends had started getting into Oxycontin and opiates and stuff like that. So when I came back from college, like, that kind of just started. So I started dabbling with, opiates and things like that. And in the beginning, it was pretty, recreational, but it kind of escalated over the years, like in my early 20s, all the way up to 27. I mean, I got really bad with that stuff, and I was losing jobs because I was stealing and pawning tools and not showing up for work and stuff like that. And, so I did that. I really struggled with work, being a productive, drug addict for like, a few years, you know what I mean? Like, I was in and out of jobs and things like that. And then there was a stretch for about a year where I didn't even work in HVAC at all. And it wasn't until I turned almost 27 when I finally, like, I was in my room, and my opiate addiction had escalated to the point where I was, shooting heroin, because opiates Oxycontin got so expensive. And so a lot of people turned to heroin. And so, I was doing that, and I just caught myself one time in my bedroom and I just started bawling because I'm like, I knew this wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? I'm like, where did I go wrong? You know what I mean? I had a good career and all that stuff. And then drugs just sidetracked that. And then that was my main focus. So, you know, when I turned about 27 years old, I called the detox center and I'm like, I need help. Like, I need to get an inpatient now. And they got me into inpatient and, you know, and I got clean. I had a couple weeks and then, you know, they were, you know, that was probably about 25 years old, 26, whatever. And so my first stint in detox didn't work. And so I continued to use drugs for about another year. And, you know, I've gotten arrested. I went to jail. You know, and when I was out on this last little bender, I got another felony and I was looking at prison time. And they have this program called drug court where if you do drug court and you successfully do it, they'll drop that charge. So, and I did it because I didn't want to go to prison, obviously, but I looked at it as a way, because it's so much accountability with this program. Like, it's very strict, it's very hard, and I needed that to get myself back on track. So I chose to do that. I successfully did that program. And when I got out of that program, I had turned 27 years old, and I didn't think I was ever going to get a job in HVAC again because, you know, doing residential and stuff like that, and, you know, felonies on your record and for any employment, like, yeah. I didn't think I was ever going to get another job doing that stuff. And luckily I met somebody in the program her dad owned a company, an HVAC company, and was willing to give me a chance. And so when I got clean, that's when my career and everything really took off. Because now I'm clean, I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm honest. And I just said, I'm going to go into this thing when I got clean, because everybody's scared of saying, yes, I got arrested, I got felonies. I'm like, I'm just going to go in. I've always been an honest guy. The only time I wasn't honest is when I was using drugs. But like, I'm embedded in me is honesty and morals and stuff. So I just told myself, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be completely honest with these people. And if they don't want to give me a job, great. Somebody's going to give me a chance. And so I just laid it out. I'm like, yep, I'm a recovering drug addict. You know, this is what happened. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm trying to go. He gives me a job, and, you know, and it was good. It was good. It was different. It was different now because I'm older. You know, before, when I first got into trade, I'm young and dumb and I'm not really thinking of anything but like, hey, it's just a job. But like, once I got clean, you know, I really looked at it as a career, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I have to focus on this because this is going to be my livelihood. And I don't ever want to go back to where I was ever again.
Yeah. And that self-awareness too, I mean, that it sounds like you had is incredible, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people that go down that path that never come back, you know, and that's a scary thought. But for you to have that self-awareness and say to yourself, hey, you know, I know this isn't good. I know I got to change. I know I have to do something different, you know, I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's not easy to beat addiction. Yeah. Like, it's not. Like, I've been there. I lost my brother to an overdose when I had about 13 months clean. I was able to stay clean through that. And, you know, and that was hard, you know what I mean? And that was, you know, 8 years ago, you know, 8 or 9 years ago when he died, you know what I mean? But, you know, so, you know, I got that job clean. First real HVAC job clean. I had other jobs while I was clean, you know, just shitty work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got that job and I was just killing it, you know what I mean? And in that, while I was working there, a buddy I grew up with, he was in the union and he did HVAC. And I remember him telling me, you know, years ago, oh, you should get into the union. You should get in the union. And when I tried to get into the union is when the whole housing market crashed. So, you know, they weren't accepting new apprentices. So they just said, you can put in an application and then we'll call you when they do interviews again. And so I just continued to work at this company, and then they called me and they said, hey, do you want to come in for an interview? And I said, yeah, I do. And that was like 2014, 2015. Went in there, interviewed, and then they said, all right, we'll call you. And then they called me like a week later and they're like, all right, you're accepted. And I'm like, cool, I'll give my employer 2 weeks notice. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't really work like that, but we can give you a week. And I'm like, he's not going to be happy because, you got to understand is like with the union is, you go on an out of work list and a contractor calls for a worker, like they need the worker, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so I gave my employer as much notice as I can, and then, went into the union. And like my first job in the union was scary because like I was so used to residential and light commercial work and stuff. And then I get thrown onto a commercial construction job, and I've never really been on a construction site before. And, it was very intimidating. And of course, everybody knows I'm new because they give me this big old stupid hard hat, a bright vest, and, and I'm nervous, and I'm going to help out this service journeyman. And, and I remember we were working on this job, and this Gensco truck pulls up. That's the sheet metal supplier up here and stuff. And, like, hey, Jamie, they need you to go help unload, the truck. And I'm like, I'm an apprentice. So I'm like running over there, we're unloading it. And then at that point they have like 7 sheet metal guys helping them. And I'm like, and my journeyman was like super behind. And I'm like, hey, do you still need me? And this guy goes, yeah, motherfucker, we need you. We need you till I tell you you're done. And I'm like, oh, whoa, dude. Okay. So I help him. And then I go, get that done. I go up in the lift with my journeyman. He's like, hey, what happened? Because he must have saw. And I just telling him. And I talk loud. So this foreman is over in another lift. And he goes, you're still talking about this motherfucker? And he's just yelling at me from a lift. And I'm like, dude, I made the worst decision of my life going into the union. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I ended up, staying with that company for a little bit, and then went to a different company. And then I worked there for like 6 years, and which was really good. And, it was a good company, and I learned a lot there. And in that time I was at that company is really when I was, doing a lot of reading and training on my own time. And like, I really was like, really excited about the trade and really just wanted to be the best I could. So that's, once I got into the union, and after that first little stint with that first company, I didn't want to be that apprentice that was on that job getting yelled at. Like, I wanted to be the guy that like nobody's gonna fuck with. You know what I mean? Like, he knows his shit, and
yeah. So you used it as motivation to better your skills, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I just started buying books and doing as much continuing education classes that I could through the union, and on, and with YouTube and all that stuff, and books, and so I really spent a lot of my personal time learning about HVAC. You know what I mean? Because
what do you love most about the job? I mean, about what you do with HVAC. I mean, what's the one thing that stands out to you, that you love about it? Is it just that it keeps you moving and it keeps your brain busy, or what is it that keeps you in the trade?
It's with what I do. Yeah. I mean, it's keeping the brain going and moving, you know what I mean? Cause as a service guy, you're going to multiple spots a day, and like nothing's the same, you know what I mean? Unless you're doing a maintenance, or you're on a construction job for a week, but 95% of the time it's just boom, different. You don't know what to expect going into anything. And where I thrive the most is when I'm being challenged, you know what I mean? And you get challenged a lot in this, in the service industry, trying to troubleshoot stuff. I love everything about it, but I really love wiring. Like, I love wiring and diagnosing electrical issues and wiring up controls and things like that. And, you know, and I like being a guy that, you know, 3 other technicians have been out here, 2 other companies have been out here and they can't figure out, you come there, you fix it. And like, you're like a god, you're like a king, man, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't do it because of that, but that's just comes with what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not learning all this stuff on my own time to have somebody go, oh my God, I love you. But it just comes with the territory. You know what I mean? And I try to, and I'm humble there, but like inside, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I am the man.
No, that's such a good feeling. I love hearing that when people say it, because it's true. I mean, I remember when I was in the field, you know, my background isn't in HVAC. You know, my company does HVAC. My company does commercial refrigeration, but my background is in commercial kitchen equipment, appliances, so ovens, fryers, stoves, you know, that kind of stuff. And same thing, right? I remember being that technician that walks in and the customer looks at you and goes, yeah, well, good luck. I've had 3 other companies out here that couldn't fix it. I'm like, all right, that's all I needed to hear, buddy. Let's go. Let's do this. You know, and then then you fix it. And then that feeling of satisfaction, you know, comes over you, number one, and then you get to deliver that good news to the customer. And, you know, you're like, no, it's fixed. And they're like, are you serious? You fixed it?
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome.
Yeah, because they don't really believe you, because they've had these other guys that like, hey, say it's fixed and it's not, you know, that's what I come across a lot, where they're like, oh yeah, this guy said it was fixed, but you know, obviously it's not. And, you know, and I like to be very thorough. Like, I tell everybody I've ever worked for, I'm like, I am not the fastest guy, but I am very thorough. And I have very, very, very limited callbacks because of that. And anybody who runs a service business, callbacks are a killer because you're not getting paid.
Yep.
So, and that has never been a problem for anybody. Nobody's ever called me and said, Jamie, why did it take you, you know, 2 hours for this? Or why did it take you this long, or whatever? I've never been questioned, you know, and because I do my job, you know what I mean? And you know, and I'm today I'm on a job and I'm very anal. Like, I want the customers to get what they're paying for, you know what I mean? And like, I was just talking about this with a guy that I know from Instagram, and we were just talking about how there's a lot of people out there, and it's not HVAC, it's in any trade. You're going to find lazy people and people who just don't, you know, take pride in their work. Like, they're just going to work for the paycheck. You know what I mean? And I'm doing this maintenance, and I'm just finding things, and not everybody is going to notice the things that I notice, you know what I mean? But I notice things that I feel like should have been caught. You know, it's not the first time we've been out to this site, you know what I mean? And it's little things like, you know, brushing a return grill that has a bunch of shit, you know, plugged up on it because nobody's brushed it. You know what I mean? Exhaust fans in a bathroom. Anytime, like, HVAC follows me everywhere. Everywhere I go, I'm looking at grills, I'm looking at exhaust fan inlets, and I'm like, whoever's doing the HVAC here, like me, I'm like, they ain't doing their job.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I wouldn't want a customer walking into my building and seeing a egg crate return grill just covered with dander and shit. So like, that's like the first thing I do when I go onto a site. I grab my brush with an extension pole, and I go around and I brush grills.
Start with the basics.
That's where I start.
Start with the basics. That's it. You know, and it's funny because in these trades that we talk about, it's so easy for people to start to overthink, and you know, that's quite honestly, it's funny because through the trade, you know, you accumulate all this knowledge, and I say that that's an amateur move because once you have all this knowledge, you immediately start to go towards the most complex, you know, solution to a problem, right? I remember catching myself, you know, doing this, and it doesn't take long to learn, right? Because at least for me, it didn't. But like, you know, you go in and you're like, all right, I'm going to check out this control board. I'm going to take all these readings. Oh, wait, the fucking thing's not plugged in. Oh, there you go. You know, you're all set. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing this for like 20 years, and I had a call where I started going down a rabbit hole and, pulling out my reefer gauges and, oh, it's probably low on charge, a leak, TXV, whatever. And then I go, wait a minute, I better go check that air filter because I haven't checked the air filter yet. You know what I mean? It's just one of those first steps that I just forgot to do. And then lo and behold, I go and check the air filter. Thing is just absolutely plugged. And, and it's usually something simple.
Yeah.
Most times. And so, yeah, you just got to start with the basics. And but oh man.
All right, so I want to fast forward a little bit here. When did you start showcasing your stuff on Instagram?
Probably three-ish years ago. Like, I had an Instagram page already, and I actually had a meme page. Like, I was Crooked Wheel Memes. I was going to be this famous meme guy, you know what I mean? And so I started that, and then like just one day I was at work and I'm like, taking a picture, talking about my service call, and then it just dawned on me. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start a trade page, you know what I mean? And this is before I knew anything about like the Instagram community and how many other tradesmen are out there. Like, I just, it wasn't like I came up with this idea, but I'm like, I'm going to turn this into my HVAC page. You know what I mean? I'm just going to showcase my work, and I'm going to try to help people. I'm going to try to give tips and tricks and things like that. And so I went through and deleted all of my 10 memes I had on there that I was going to become a meme god, and just started posting my work. And then, just started following people, and, and it just kind of took off from there.
That's cool, man. And then, so when did Rock the Trades reach out to you? Cause that's kind of what connected us, right? Is I saw you were, I'd been following you. And then once I saw that you were a rocker for Rock the Trades, I was like, oh shit, I should probably reach out to him.
Good. Well, they reached out. It was like probably just a little over a month ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was cool. That was really cool. They do a lot of good stuff for the trades, and like, and I don't know how long they were following me before they reached out to me, but it was kind of like when you reached out to me, like but see, the thing about you is I heard little bits about your book, and I was always like, hey, I need to read that book. That sounds like a good book. And, so then I followed you. And same thing with Rock the Trades is, they probably were following me. I didn't know. And then once they reached out to me, I was like, I went and checked them out and then followed them back. You know what I mean? And, and that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, isn't it? The day and age that we live in and the kind of connections that we can make. I mean, back in the day, like, you don't think of the skilled trades as something that can network you with people across the country, unless you're going there for a job or something. But now there's like this whole online community, and it's very, very interesting and quite, I mean, it's awesome, quite frankly. Obviously that's why I wrote the book and everything, to try to bring the trades a little to the forefront. Excuse me. But yeah, I just think it's amazing that all of this can manifest from something like that. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's I never would have imagined, you know what I mean? Because I can get a hold of a president of a company on Instagram easier than I could if I try to call them and be like, hey, can I talk to so-and-so? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no kidding.
And, that's what happened. I just got RLS. I've been wanting to get a press gun for so long, you know what I mean? And I see Mike Flintstone and Jeff using it, and I was like, hey, did you guys buy that or what happened? And then he just said, hey, dude, reach out to Paul. He's the president. He's a super cool guy. And I went to his page. He was already following me, so I reached out to him, and and he was a super good guy, and he sent me out that tool, you know what I mean? And like, I would have never got that tool to use and review if it wasn't for Instagram, you know what I mean? And I just met a lot of awesome people through Instagram. It's it still blows my mind to this day. You know what I mean? How many
Yeah.
tradesmen are out there on Instagram?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely definitely interesting, and it's nice to see, you know, because this is the shit that we talk about, right? This is the stuff that still isn't really talked about in high schools, and people don't know much about it, and you know, and it can be a rewarding career. You know what I mean? I mean, you're a perfect example, and yeah. Speaking of rewarding careers. You know, you know, we're coming up on the end of the podcast pretty soon here. What's next for Jamie Christensen? What's next for you, man? Where are you headed?
I'm actually working on opening up my own HVAC shop. So that's been, you know, my main focus for quite a little while now. I mean, I've always wanted to do it, you know, for years, but I finally, you know, some of the things that we talked about on this podcast just kind of, I'm just like, why don't I just give it a shot and do it for myself? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Union or non-union?
Because I know I'm going to stay in the union. Yeah. So, it's just a good gig, and, you know, the healthcare for my family and stuff won't change. And I really like, you know, what the union stands for, and the union's had my back, and, you know, and I you know, I looked into it because I was like, how does this work? You know what I mean? And, you know, and it's a good deal. So I'm going to go for it. And, you know, I just know from my experiences that I can be a top service company, you know what I mean? From how I do my job and how thorough it is. And so, you know, I'm hoping to have it going here officially by the end of the year, let's just say that.
Well, that's awesome, man. And congratulations, you know, for that. I know that's a big step for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people really want that entrepreneurship, you know, title, you know, that experience. Is this something that you've always wanted? Is this something that's kind of like been stuck in the back of your mind, like, hey, maybe one day? Or is this something that's relatively new, you know, that you kind of took all your past experiences and said, all right, well, now let me do this on my own?
No, it's definitely been fumbling around in my head for years.
Yeah.
And I think it is like that for a lot of people, but it's just, you know, taking that first step to do it. I don't think a lot of people pull the trigger, you know, because everybody has kind of doubts and they don't want to fail and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to go for it. Cause like my thing is I'm in a union right now. My plan B, worst case scenario, is my business fails. I'm still a union member, and I just go right back to work for a union contractor making the wage I make now, which is a very good wage to support my family. And, you know, so I have a good backup plan. I just might be $10,000 more in debt.
Right. Well, you know what? I don't think you're going to need that backup plan, man. You strike me as the type of person that you're going to make it work. Sounds like you've kind of done that your entire life, man. Just you've made it work. You know what the right decision is. You know what the right move is. You just execute. You know, and that's the feeling I get. So for better or worse, man, I'm only wrong about 1% of the time. So.
Awesome.
That's really cool, Jamie. I'm glad you shared that with us. You know, and I'm excited to see where you go, and I hope you continue to document that journey, you know, on Instagram so we can all see it, and you know, I know you got a lot of people cheering for you in your corner, so that's really awesome. And before we wrap it up today, I got to ask you a question. Question that I ask everybody on the show. I know we talked before the show about how I don't have one specific set of questions, but I do have one question that I ask everybody. Okay. So, I talk about success a lot on the show, and how it relates to the trades, and really that, you know, as a society, we have this one universal definition of success, which is a lot of money or a lot of fame or the big house or whatever, you know, but the truth is that success is different for everyone, right? Everybody has their own version or their own definition of success. So what does success look like to you, Jamie?
I think success to me looks like just, are you happy? You know what I mean? Like, because happiness is where it's at. I took jobs making more money than I make now in the HVAC field as a foreman, thinking that was going to make me happier. And I learned, it took me a couple of years to get out of that, but I learned that, money isn't the most important thing. You know what I mean? Are you happy inside? Like, I want to just enjoy going to work every day. You know what I mean? And supporting my family. You know what I mean? As long as I can support my family and I'm happy, like, that's success for sure.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with you on that. Money's important, obviously, because it's in supporting your family and stuff like that, but it really is the catalyst for what truly makes you happy, right? And so a lot of people, I think, do understand that. I got a ton of different answers to that question. Actually, you're my 110th guest on this show, and only one person has actually said money was their definition of success. So, no, very, very interesting. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Jamie, I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story and being so transparent about everything. I think it's going to be super relatable to my audience. And, I'm just happy I got an opportunity to get to know you a little better. So where can people find you, man?
Well, just like you said, Northwest HVAC, Northwest_HVAC is my Instagram handle. I have also another page, Blue Collar Crew NW is my clothing line. I don't really do much with it because of the pandemic, but it's, American made clothing printed by union members. And that's pretty much all I do is Instagram. So
nice.
But I just wanted to say thank you for having me on, and it's good meeting you, good chatting with you. And I forget how much I can talk once I do these things. Like, I could probably talk for easily another hour.
I know. I have to temper myself too, man. I can do the same thing.
But anybody who listens to this, I'm always open for questions, comment. I mean, you can always reach out to me on Instagram, DM me. Like, I'm a very approachable guy, and like you heard on this podcast, I'm transparent. You know what I mean? Like, I'm honest. Like, don't be afraid to reach out.
Right on.
About anything, whether it's recovery or the trades. You know what I mean?
Awesome. That's super cool, Ian, and I'm sure my audience will appreciate it. So, Jamie, thanks again for spending the time with me today. And don't be a stranger, all right?
Yeah, no, I won't. Thank you.
All right. Take care, buddy.